So let's talk about research, right? Some of us go to the counter, the visa officer wants to ask you about your research project, or he or she asks you about your research project. What are you going to say? Okay, you're an international student, you're going to do your master's program, most especially, or maybe your PhD. You are supposed to have a research area because most of the time it is these land grant research universities that are giving you the opportunity. That means that you either you saw a professor having a certain research interest that also stirred your interest, right, to apply for the program. So how are you going to explain your research interests or why you chose that? How are you going to convince the VO that, you know what, this person knows what he's talking about? This research thing, he or she is really serious about it, and I think that it will be good for me, to be fair for me, to give them a chance to go study abroad. So let's look at a few things you can do, how to prepare yourself to address research issues. So you can describe your educational research program. Okay, so you have to know of head that it is a 30 credit program, or a minimum 30 credit program, or a 40 credit program, credit hours. You need to know that. You can't be like it's a 2 year program but you don't even know the number of credits. You have to know that. And then you talk about your field of study. So let's say agribusiness and applied economics, right, is a master of science in agribusiness and applied economics. And my research interest, so now it's a broader field, but then your research interest would have to be narrowed down to what is it about agribusiness or what is it about applied economics that I want to also go into. So first of all, study the entire scope and then break it down, right? And then narrow your focus. So explain the specific focus of your research. It could be applied economics, right? Agribusiness and applied economics. But then for the applied economics side, your focus is that you want to look at the banking sector, right? And then if it's banking sector, you want to look at the rate at which loans are given. So it's a broad thing, but you keep narrowing down the entire spectrum. Okay, so you're looking at credit financing in the banking industry and the applied economics. So it's like narrow, 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 and then they get the specificity of what they are trying to say. So, what is the main question or problem that your research is trying to address? So, you said that you have realized that so and so and so in your country, let's say back in Ghana or Nigeria, that this and this and this is going on in the credit industry. And because of this and this and that, we have this problem, which I want to get knowledge in this field to address this issue. I'm just like giving you the face value of how to present your case. So, the main question or the problem that you intend to address through your research, and then mention any relevant background experience that has prepared you for the program. Some of us are prepared through our internships, through our national service, or what they call youth service in Nigeria. So for you, maybe you've not had any previous experience, so you could neglect that part. You don't need to talk about the fact that you don't have experience. Don't expose yourself as much. But if you've had experience, capitalize on the experience and talk about it. Okay, and then you can talk about the significance of your research, discuss the importance and the potential impact that when you come out with these results in the banking sector or the credit financing area of the banking sector, is going to do this and this and this and that. It's going to help you do this, or it's going to help the country to take certain decisions when it comes to how they give out loans to build the economy. Okay, so try and craft your response in that light, and then discuss how the research is going to help you also acquire new skills, additional knowledge set, and expertise. Okay, and then if your research program has funding, you could talk about the fact that your professor has received funding for the program. That is, if you have secured a professor for that research work. Okay, so you can talk about the funding. Maybe you have received, you can also be specific. Maybe you have received $120,000 towards the research, or your professor has received $120,000 towards the research, and it makes the VO know that, okay, you have extra information about the kind of research you're going to do. Those kind of specificities really help you to make your case, other than, oh, I'm going to do a research program. then you ask, what is your research about? You know what, when I get there, I'm going to find out, or they're going to give me a research. It sounds as if you are going without a purpose. It sounds as if you are just like casting your net anywhere. But if you talk about the fact that, you know what, I, I maybe my department is going to give me a research topic to tackle, but my personal interest is that I would like to do this, I would like to do that, I would like to do this. Because you could also be asked that, have you agreed on a research project with your professor? And if you haven't, you say, no, I haven't, but then my research area is in the areas of this and this and this and that, and this aligns with the interest of with the research area interest of my supervisor or professor. Okay, so at the end of the day, have that mindset. And then through your speech about your research project, you could talk about your return intentions, okay, and how that research is going to help you back home, how you're going to use that knowledge back home. And that is why when you are stating your research project, you could also find loopholes that exist both in the economy and in your country at large. Okay, this and this and that is missing, so I want to address it through this. So through that, they know that you have a return intention, which is one of the things that you also need to let the VO know, that you have a return intention. And then for closing remarks, just express your gratitude for the opportunity to pursue your research program in their country. That you'll be very, very excited if you are given the opportunity to embark on this research in the country. That is also very, very helpful. Yes, so basically those are the key areas you want to touch on. So to summarize, I would say that know what you want to do, have an interest, sit down and plan. A lot of people, let me just do a quick backlash. A lot of people want others to help them to think of a project. No, there are so many online resources you can use to come up with a nice project in your field of expertise. You went to school, you know how to read and write, you know how to do critical thinking. I'm not saying you are going to solve the world's problems, but look at your field and look at certain things around you that could be addressed. How can you craft a research topic around it? Then you sit down, spend time. Most of us don't even spend time on our applications. Spend time. I was doing sleepless nights of research, all in an attempt to come up with something good to make my application look like it has been really worked upon, which it was. It has to appear that you have really worked on it. So please spend time and work on your research. If it's going to be 1 hour every night before you sleep, you want to do that for the next fall semester, fall 2024, or whichever year they are going, 25, 26, 27. Okay, so let that be your aim or goal. All right, let that be your aim or goal. So number one, have the research field, and then have narrow down on the area. Agribusiness and applied economics. Maybe you narrow down on agribusiness. In agribusiness, you narrow down on maybe farm real estate. Then you narrow down on credit facilities for farm real estate. Then you just like narrow down and make your focus a little bit more sharp. And explain how important the research is. And then you can also talk about the impact of the research, how it's going to contribute to academia. You can also talk about that. And basically, you are good to go. So please prepare well in presenting your research work. You might not even be asked about research, but let it be said that if I wake you up from sleep, you're able to tell me about your research project. All right, so guys, all the best, and subscribe for more. I'll be talking about more, addressing more issues on student life, applying, going through the entire application process and all that. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.